folks, and welcome to the stream. My name is Mike D'Angelo, aka That Tellest Guy. We are going to be heading back to the Halian Roost Entrance today, which is kind of like our mesa where the Avarians live in Sophenadil, which is a place that we've been a couple of times before. We did a map in like the knoll controlled section of the forest, and last week, I believe it was, we did the entrance to the Elven Citadel. This is the first time that we're looking at where the Avarians live and things like that, so we're trying to do something a little bit different than we usually do. We definitely play with height and depth and things like that on this channel, but this one is a little bit different because we don't typically use the desert cliffs too often, and we've never really worked on like a mesa before. We usually have like mountains and stuff like that, so this is a little bit different. So we're going to keep on kind of trying to figure out what makes the most sense for us and everything, and see if we can continue making some magic happen. So I think what we're going to start with is we liked the desert sand for up here. I'm just going to do like one real quick pass to see. I don't think that was the color scheme that I like. What I'm trying to do is give kind of like this color pattern over here to this stretch of land that we have over here. And I don't know necessarily which stuff we used. It might have been in the orc set. Certainly not. Let's keep on looking. So that's the one bad thing. Like, it doesn't keep track of all the stuff that you've used. So when you are trying to do something like this, like, I can't go back and figure out what it was that I was playing with. Yeah, we know it's not straight up sand. Well, you know what? It could have been. And it could have been that the sizes that I was playing with was wrong. I don't think so, but that's at least a little bit closer. So we might use that. We're not going to do like the full color anyway. We're going to do kind of like a brush pass over. But let's real quick see if there's anything else that looks like it's what I used before. I really need to do a better job of keeping track of those things. Did I use... I don't think that it was the cracked ground. Again, I have to change the size to do it up. What up, the nerdy Kev? That nerdy Kev? Map making while cooking. Yeah, I mean, that's a good shape and everything, but I don't think... Oh, you know what? You can actually see the cracks that I had before. So I did use that slightly to some extent. But it is not the full breadth of what we were using. And that's not that either. Again, I have to go back to 30 to really get a good feel for it. I don't believe that I used that at all. Yikes. Where did that color pattern come from? I really do not know. Right? Nothing from Castle. I don't think that it would have been from the core. Let's break that back down to 30. Way too sandy, so it's not that. I mean, this sand looks a little bit more the part. It could be. And then here, you know what? Let's do a little test real quick. Let's go to like a 50% opacity. It might have been that sand. That looks a little bit more correct. Let me try it the other way, actually. So let's do a full pass of this stuff and then go over to the sand instead, and then see what it looks like to color, color in those gaps a little bit. It's not quite right, but I might have changed the color of the sand to better reflect things. Let's go into the hue real quick. It might have been something like that, because that looks a lot more in line with what we were doing. All right, so we'll do that. We'll do those two things. Again, don't really need to. Excuse me. All right, let's see here. So we're going to do a little bit of that orange. I don't think we're going to do the full thing. So we'll do 30% and see how things look up here. I have to unfortunately be a little bit more careful with things because I don't want to go into the water over there. So we're just going to do a real quick pass around here. We're going to cover that gray anyway soon. Oh, you know what? I got to do a check real quick. Yeah, we're playing with the foreground, and down here it needs to be the background. All right, that looks good. I have a couple overlaps here and there, but that's okay. It'll add to a little bit of richness to the way that it looks and stuff. You can see a couple of places where the water's coming up on the cliff. I think at the end of all of this, I need to look at it in high def and make sure that nothing looks too far off. All right, so we got that pass there, and let's do this one over here. I actually was late beginning today because we were busy watching Is It Cake. Very important, not to be missed. All right, let's keep things going. We're going to bring this up a little bit and move the camera down a smidge. Camera, quote unquote. Now, as long as I don't move my finger off of the mouse, we should be able to keep going back over the areas without, you know, a second pass or anything like that. So far it's looking good. And if something was to happen, we would see that 17 down there change to 18. So that's one way to make sure that we're keeping honest with ourselves and our work. Okay, there we go. Good first pass. We'll do the same thing that we were going to do up here, although I think I'm doing it a little bit backwards. Let's do something pretty minor here. So we'll do 15. Let's make sure the size is correct, and it is. So that's good. It's just adding a little bit of texture. We're going to end up doing some more around the insides of those to try and make it match this one a little bit more. You know, we're going to do one more pass. Alrighty. Now, we know we have some gray over here that we're now missing out on, so we need to do a little bit over there. So let's see, what kind of gray do we want? We've got this gray ground over here. Throw it to 30. Still doing the like the 15%. Maybe we'll bump it up to 20. And we'll go around this area here. Probably gonna have to do a second pass before we realize if it looks right. It's so minuscule you don't even notice it. So we'll just do a couple passes. Now, one of the things that we need to do down here is figure out what other stuff we're going to do. You know, you don't just want like a straight up brown blob making its way towards this cliff. So I think what we're likely going to do, I think we had a little bit of practice last week with the cactuses in the Tomb of Fleeting Souls map that we were working on. So I think that we'll go that route as well. Let's do one more pass, a little bigger. And over here we'll do a couple of passes. So we'll probably do a couple of cactuses because it feels like that kind of like arid part of like the middle of the forest. You know, if you're around the mesa and everything like that, I think that makes a little bit more sense. You got these little kind of hot springs, I suppose we could kind of think of them as. And that's great for, you know, some of the stuff around here. But I want to say like maybe it's like a salty spring and stuff like that, so the plants aren't going to thrive too much off of it. So maybe we'll have some cactuses, and I think they don't have like a lot of like leafless trees that you would typically see. So we'll have to see if there's something that we like there. We're going to go in here and we're going to go to our cracked ground, which we did up above as well. We certainly have the cracked ground that we had everywhere else, but you'll notice around here we have a lot more. So we're going to mess with the size a decent amount. I don't think 1 is the right way to go there, but maybe we'll do like 15. Still keeping it pretty transparent. We'll do a couple passes. Yeah. The texture that you do is great and everything, but you need to have some dynamic kind of pieces to everything else that's going on to make it really pop. And that means stamps of some sort. I've been putting a lot on my wish list for Sergei, so we're going to have some other maps soon enough that have other cool stuff in them. But I do have things in mind for the maps that I'm working on for now. A lot of times when I go into a new zone for the first time, I think about how I can do it with the Inkarnate stamps first and foremost. Because I do want to, you know, this is a fun experience for me for sure, but I also want to make sure that other creators see that Inkarnate doesn't really have too much of a lack until you get into map 80 and stuff like that, where you feel like you're starting to retread the same ground a little bit. And we're going to do one more pass. We're going to go to a smaller amount there, and let's actually, while the amount itself for the size is different, we're going to make the brush size wider so that we get some smaller cracks further back. Still got to pass over it twice just to make sure that it does kind of show up. Right now the details are kind of minute, but when you go into the HD, we should see this a little bit better. Okay, and I'm also going to do a pass of these, maybe bigger ones, closer to the cliffs, because I think that, you know, you just kind of have things rubbing up against each other. You've got rocks falling from the cliffs above. It just kind of makes sense. So we might do a couple of passes like that. Okay. Yeah, this is a little rougher over here, and that's fine. That you figure this is a little less trodden than this entry spot to the area. So let's go up to maybe like 25. We'll do a couple passes here. Drop it down to 20. And shrink that down a smidge. I want it to be really crackly around there. And let's do 15 and bring it back up because I want to actually get it a little bit further that's a good stop. Let's do a save real quick, and we'll take this opportunity to go to our sponsor. And now, a word from our sponsors. A prolific up-and-coming sci-fi storyteller, Andrew Charles mixes a creative blend into his universe of galaxy-trotting adventures, the Coalition series. Not afraid to tackle any elements of the story, whether they're big and bombastic or narrower and more intimate, Charles ensures that readers always have a pleasant ride to look forward to. The author just released the 5th book in their series, The Way to Bane, and it takes paths less traveled and puts his characters through an emotional and thrilling wringer. Charles is at his best when he is diving deep into the ethos of any member of his cast, whether they're the heroes of the story or the villains you love to hate. Everyone is written with purpose and feels rich and real. If that sounds like the kind of sci-fi journey you've been looking for, don't wait. Check out our promo for The Way to Bane, the 5th book in the Coalition series, on the Tellest website today. Alrighty then. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's throw a couple more rocks over here to better get the idea across that we've had some stuff that's fallen into place over here over time. Shrink that down just a smidge so that it's not the same structure as the last one that we had. Oh, you're panting. Are you okay? Were you running around outside? You okay? Luna. You good doggy? You don't have the random stamps making. Make this one a little bit more like oblong, perhaps. Zelda. It's always fun when I have two doggies up here. That's so you can tell they're bored. That's actually a nice one as well. I like the way that those are turning out. All right, so next up we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to shrink these guys down a little bit. So we have a little bit more. Again, random stamps, guys. Come on. You can do it. That nice oblong look is actually really helping with the way that these are coming together. Excuse me. All right. For now, I think that looks pretty decent. We'll have to see what it looks like when we have this in high def. So I'm definitely at some point going to have to change the way that I'm approaching this and see how these look. But I think it looks pretty decent for now. Let's scooch that over. I'll have that be like a nice corner piece that brings everything together. And let's move this one over here a smidge. This one down here and over, and this one I don't like it looking like a lemon, so we'll change the positioning and the orientation of that one. Let's do, I don't really know how to kind of put like indentations in the ground. So the great thing about all this is I'm not really that artistic, so trying to get that down pat sometimes is a little bit of a challenge for me. Let's try and see if we go with the black. Let's move this up, make sure that this is, yep, so that is correct. It's just so minute that you can't really tell. And that's honestly not a bad thing. So we're adding a little bit of color beneath where this rock fell. And it's kind of smoothing out the area a little bit and making it look like there's just a little bit more going on there. Let's do the same thing around some of these other ones. Maybe not to the same effect every time, but just to kind of play with it. And we'll definitely have to do some other stuff with like foliage and things like that around here to make things look appropriate. Let's do it just on this one side over here, and just again faintly. Very faint. All right, now the one thing that I do know is clearly, because we've made this rock from various pieces, we have up here some stuff that we need to do. So let's try, and one of the things that I feel like this needs is like the eyedropper tool. I think that we would benefit from something like that. Let's throw that up there. Way too sandy. So I want to try and see if maybe we can get something a little bit more gray and dark. That's not terrible. So let's do maybe a little bit darker. That actually looks really nice. It's a little rough, which is a little bit of the problem. But I think I have a solution for that. Now, the problem is that gets lost in the lines. So let's go up one and see. Much better. Again, still a little bit lost in the lines, but it's not bad. So we got this other one up here. Just do pass through that, and then another set of those. Now, the funky part about this is we are definitely getting a little bit of a problem here, because I'm never going to remember which textures and colors and stuff that we used. But I guess that's part of the fun, is trying to figure out how to do this again later. Okay, and that's good. Again, I think that makes it look a lot more real and distinct compared to a lot of the other things that we have going. So it looks like it could have been a piece from Inkarnate at that point. That Nerdy Kev says, maybe I'll try and stream some map making myself tonight, and I think that would be good. And I will watch you. Pay it back and pay it forward. All right, we got the cracks over there. I want to do the same thing that we did down here. So let's go to our cracks one more time. We'll go to... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong size. 20. 20 is a good one. It's the same cracks that we used for the rocks, but we're going to dial it back to maybe 30%. Again, makes it look a little bit more lively, a little bit richer. There's some backstory here. All right, so that's pretty good. Let's see, 60 is a decent amount, especially on my old computer. Do you have, Kev, do you have a computer that's strong enough to handle it, or is it just the laptop pretty much? You can see we added another tent up here. I was going to try and figure out like some kind of stones to put here. I don't know if that's the route that we're going to go, or if we're going to do like logs or something like that. Let's see. I guess another part of the important question, Kev, is what time you're going to be doing it, because you know me. I'm an old man and I have an early bedtime. All right, we've got the milling stones. Standing stones look like they might be able to work. if they were shrank down enough. Don't look terrible. Bump it up some. I don't think that it's going to be the route that I want to go, but it doesn't look terrible. I wonder if there is something that I can do. So Cav says he's got a laptop which can't handle game streaming but may handle what is essentially sharing my screen. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the processing in Inkarnate can be a little bit finicky sometimes, but I feel like you'd be able to pull it off. I don't feel like that's doing what I want it to. So let's go with some logs. So we've got these ones, and we've got the ones from the core. And I feel like the ones from the core are the way that we're going to want to go. Right? The tavern logs look like they would go in the fire. These ones look like they could be something that you would throw around a campfire. I should be awake for 8:30. And there was much rejoicing. Something like that. So we've got a couple of people who, if they wanted to hang out with each other, they could. And that's a good amount, I think. So this is where some of these guys could get together and have some communications about diplomacy and stuff. Nice little chunk of space between here and the fire. Let's move this one up there a little bit, and these guys over here a little bit. There we go. All right, we are going to go grab some cactuses. All right, so down here, probably an okay size. Cactuses can grow kind of big. We're going to move the hue down a little bit, move the saturation down a little bit. There we go. That's a nice color. I want things to look a little bit arid. That looks like a dick and balls, so we're going to change that up a little bit. Okay, let's throw something over here too. Just realized they need to be under that stuff. So let's do the same thing here. I don't think that it's necessary, because I think that there is no smoke or anything up there, but just in case. And down here, do we have any of those problems? Bring that down to -4. just to have a little bit of a sense of depth. And let's go and find some trees that we can do. Cactus. Alright. I mean, it is a dying tree. I don't want to call it a dying tree, but that is kind of the point about what we're doing. Why is chopped logs considered a tree? Alright, let's see what we got. Actually, this might not be such a bad plan. Do something like this where it's a little bit there. See, that's the problem. Moving the hue back. Yeah, we get the yellowy leaves and everything, but the tree branches themselves, I don't want to have that look. So we're just going to dry it out with some desaturation. It's a salty area. I thought I heard a little whomp in here, but I may have misheard. One other problem. This needs to be up a few layers, but not above the grid, and I think we have a little bit of a problem there because the grid layer is only 3. So yeah, we'll dial that back. Let's shift that to about there, and let's grab some regular boulders or rocks or stones or whatever. Got this stuff from the desert. I'm going to bump it up. I want it to be a little bit larger than what it is. You know what? The only problem with this is it's very vibrant and contrasty comparatively. So let's do this. We're going to grab these ones that I just threw down. Let's mess with the contrast a little bit. Yeah, I'm okay with it for now. Let's get one more tree in there. Actually, we'll put this one over here. Alright, and we're going to grab some grass and throw them in a few places. Few bits of grass here and there looking like they're popping out and doing their stuff. And let's see, I didn't realize that I've been going for this long. 36 minutes so far. Let's do a couple of patches over here. Let's see what other desert plants we have. desert plants and desert plants. Do a couple of these ones here and there as well. What I might end up doing is moving some of these out of the center of the area so that there's like a nice little path for people to follow. And we've got whatever these weird guys are too. We'll put these right along the water's edge. Somehow these are thriving despite whatever water we've got going on. Alrighty, scooch that over and these over. And maybe that as well. And that way you've got like a nice little path, like I said. I'm actually pretty happy with what we've got down on the ground. Still probably will be doing a couple of other things, and then we need to obviously figure out what we're going to do on this top map, or the top layer, about kind of bringing it around and making it a little bit more vibrant. But 122 changes is a decent amount. 38 minutes is around par for the course for someone who starts a little late because they're watching This Is Cake, or Is It Cake rather. Let's head over to our show closing screen. So on the screen right now, you should see all the places that you can find Tellest out there on the internet. Tellest.com, great place to start. But if you want to see our premium goods, you want to go to patreon.com/Tellest or Tellest.etsy.com. Patreon is the place that you want to go for like digital versions of our maps and art posts that we do twice a week. And Etsy is where you're going to go for physical content. So you can get our battle maps on jumbo mouse pads, like 20 by 40 inches. You can get posters, you can get stickers, you can get bookmarks, our art books on there, our tabletop games on there. A lot of good stuff that you can get on Etsy. And you can also get Rhianna's Weird Witch wands, which are her handcrafted, one-of-a-kind magic wands. And if you want to see a little bit of like those being shown off, you want to go to tiktok.com/@weirdwitchwands. And then we didn't have too much, by the way, of canine companions up here today, but you can still see them on their own TikTok channel at tiktok.com/@talesofTellest. The last two places that I want to bring your attention to are youtube.com/@worldoftellest, where you can go once the videos expire on Twitch. But if you do want to chat with us live and ask questions like Swig of Chalky is available or such things, you can go to twitch.tv/thattellestguy. And we're getting closer and closer every day to that mythical 50 number for the active followers that we have. So we're getting there, and we hope to see that soon. But in the meantime, I appreciate you dropping by. I hope that you had fun while you were here. And if you've got time this evening, go and check out That Nerdy Kev on Twitch and watch his map making if he's running today. And I miss you. Oh, no Swig of Chalky, but I appreciate it.